Welcome along to American Speedfest. It's Speedfest Sunday, day 2 of this fabulous event here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. A track where we are always welcomed by an absolute ream of fans. We're expecting 50,000 people this weekend. We had to brave big wins, as we are seeing once again here today, judging by those flags, but also an amount of precipitation yesterday, particularly in the open division race. We had drama courtesy of the weather. But even here and now, we have intrigue going. It will be a dry day by the looks of it for us, mercifully this time, as we get ready for Euro NASCAR Pro. We are delighted to have you here with us. Let's join the action. There are various elements at play today for the NASCAR Euro Series. Not only, of course, are we fighting for the championship as we go closer to the double points playoffs towards the end of the year, but also there is the small matter of a special prize that's been put forward. The NASCAR Canada Series race winner Raphael Lessard has the opportunity to race with us at Oschersleben, and in return at Trois-Rivières in August, our championship leader at the conclusion of this weekend will be racing with us. Very exciting stuff indeed. They're also fighting for a bit of a throne, let's say. The king of Brands Hatch will be determined on this day. You don't vote for kings. You don't vote for kings. They take power with a little more force. Welcome to Brands Hatch, where fear, surprise, and ruthless efficiency will determine our winner. The legend of Brands Hatch tells that every year the mightiest knights gather on the Druid's Hill and battle for the throne. But only one may wear the crown and lay claim to these lands.
I will be the king of Brands.
I'm the reigning king of Brands Hatch, and I will defend the throne.
You don't have to look for the king, he's right in front of you.
Rubbing is racing. 'Tis but a scratch and a small price to pay for a shot at the Holy Grail. and celebrate upon the NASCAR Euro Series throne. Who will be our new king? And as you can see, we've had thousands down there on the grid getting their opportunity to meet the stars and get close to the cars. As always here at American Speedfest, this is the 12th edition of American Speedfest. And as always, Sunday is that little bit more special. Members of the US military are here and they will be performing the Star Spangled Banner for us a little bit later. We've got a bit of an American football feel as well. We've got one of the local teams here with us celebrating. And it is 28 minutes until the most famed words in motorsport are delivered. The countdown to the command is on. And once those engines fire into life, it will be a very compelling motor race for my money. The grid for these races, as always, on Sunday is determined by the fastest laps on Saturday. Now, that is always a kind of fun element. The race number one sometimes becomes a bit of a qualifying for race two for some parties once they're solidified in a certain position. And we have a very interesting front row. Liam Hasemans is on pole position. Our reigning King of Brands Hatch had the fastest lap in yesterday's race. He is on pole. Meanwhile, after some technical issues, Paul Giffreau tried to salvage his weekend by getting some quick laps in towards the end of the race. And he ultimately finished in second place in terms of fastest laps. So he will start second on the grid here. Gianmarco Ercoli, yesterday's winner, his fourth victory here at Brands Hatch across the history of the NASCAR Euro Series. And we can go now to Paul Giffreau.
Thank you so much, Adam. Paul, really good starting position, but it was not a trouble-free weekend for you so far. Do you think you have everything now in line to attack for the win today?
We hope for. When you have a new engine, you know you have to drive slowly for 45 minutes. We only made 10 minutes in the warm-up. So yeah, we'll ask a lot to my engine now to not break, but yeah, it's the only way to make the race. So yeah, we are confident. The car was feeling really good. Yeah, last race with only 20 laps all weekend long, we made the second fastest lap of the race. So yeah, we are feeling confident. I have good fresh tire. So I think we can really play for the win. William will respect a lot each other, so this will be a fair battle, and I hope for a long battle. And yeah, we'll see.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you, Adam.
Paul Giffreau from the outside of the front row was the points leader coming into this weekend, and he is no longer in that comfortable and preferred position. Unfortunately, he is a little way down the standings now on 160 points. Vittorio Gorelli, our defending champion, is the points leader. He's on 177. Gianmarco Ercoli 11 points back on 166. Thomas Chrysonis on 162 points in what continues to be a stunning year for him. He is our junior trophy champion, a leader as well. Paul Giffreau in fourth. Sebastian Blakemolen kind of quietly, consistently scoring, and that's paying off for him. He's on 151. Liam Hasemans on 148. Garrett Lowe, Armetta, Siortzis and Dubek, your top 10, while David Kajaya leads in the Challenger Trophy classification. So really interesting stuff throughout the standings. Sebastian Blakemolen hasn't really had what I would call a headline grabber of a performance yet this season. Gianmarco Ercoli grabbed the headlines yesterday though, Andre.
Yeah, definitely. Yesterday, first win of the season. You're always very strong in Brands Hatch. One of your favorite tracks, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm ready. Only the fast lap and there is one don't arrive, but I think yesterday a really good job. Today is another race. We start in P3, is good here. I have only one strategy: full attack, and lap by lap I can study my perfect strategy.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you, Adam.
So then 24 minutes until the engines roar. For Ercole, starting from the second row of the grid, he could make a little bit of Euro NASCAR history here today. The most victories at Brands Hatch in the Pro Division come from Alan Day and Alla Villarino here at Brands Hatch. They're both on 5 wins apiece in the Pro Division here at Brands. Ercole has 4 to his name now. Maybe today's 5. Let's go down to Liam Hazelmans.
Thank you so much. Liam, it was really hard to find you, but now I caught you in the middle of the grid. Beautiful weather, a lot of people, perfect day for racing, right?
Yeah.
Especially from pole position.
Yeah, that's true. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, very looking forward to it. I mean, actually, the car felt great the whole weekend. So also yesterday, even though, okay, we had a bit of bad luck at the start yesterday, but in general, I think the car is very, very good. So also really looking forward to it because it's quite funny. There was the guy that did the interviews for the track. And he asked, yeah, how do you feel about the number 3 car starting next year? But it's funny because Paul and me are getting along very, very well. But we actually never raced each other. So it will be the first time, hopefully. So yeah, I hope it will be a nice battle.
A nice battle or a friendship ending?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, I hope the first one.
All right, good luck, have fun. Back to you, Adam.
The king of Brands Hatch for at least a couple of more hours. Liam Hazelmans. The King of Brands Hatch award is bestowed upon the driver who has scored the most points across this weekend in each division. And then you have the Prince of Brands Hatch is the award in the open class. And last year our king was Liam Hazelmans. So Hazelmans is looking to try and make this work for him from pole position. However, he only finished 5th yesterday, ultimately, in the race. So we'll see how he does. Ulysse Delso with some fetching headwear, Andre.
I think this outfit really matches the American Speedfest here at Brands Hatch. Ulysse Delso, there are a lot of people right now watching us at your home and cheering for you. Can you tell me something about that?
Salut, donc coucou for all the people in France and of my home department to follow me, and I hope to do a good race. For me, my goal is to be on the top 10 and to have more points than possible. And I hope to grow up and to be good on the championship.
So there's a lot of public viewing going on, a lot of friends gathering, big screens, a lot of NASCAR partying at home in France. Thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you, Adam.
Welcome.
Absolutely loving the cap. If I remember Ulysses' preferences correctly, I think that might be a Jackie Stewart, Jim Clark kind of homage. He's very into his motorsport history. And Ulysse Delso could be one to watch today. We will watch where he manages to get to in the pack. Of course, he is in a new car for this weekend, interestingly, the number 22 from Club Motorsport, and he will be starting that car from 16th on the grid. And we saw the open driver yesterday, Jordan O'Brien, doing really good things in that car in the wet. Thomas Chrysonis is with Andre.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. You have a nice place here, beautiful view for the grid walk. How do you enjoy the event so far?
Well, the event was a little bit unlucky so far, but still I made a promise to some guys over there to be on the top step. So we will try to do that. We will try to win. But yeah, I think in terms of pace we are where we need to be. It just didn't go our way yesterday with the flat tire and the problems on the rain race. All in all, I don't think we are slower than anybody. The thing is to actually finish the race where we are supposed to finish, you know. So the plan is clear, not to crash on the start, because the guys are fighting, everybody's fighting for the championship. We're literally the top 5 contenders right now on the front of the grid. So, you know, just to be safe in the start and then try to create openings to get some positions. That's all.
You said not to crash in the opening lap. When I look at the pro races in this year so far, I see a lot of respect. I see people not closing doors, not doing big dive bombs. We had almost no crashes in pro racing so far this season. Do you think the level is rising and rising each year, or what is it?
I mean, the more you know, we know each other for a lot of years. The drivers are even if somebody doesn't like somebody else, they give respect because they learn how each and every one of us drive. So more or less everybody knows what to expect from the other guy. And I think this helps a lot on the starts of the Pro. Everybody here is literally for more than 5 years, if you take out of consideration Liam, who did the jump immediately from, Open to Pro. So, very high competition. It's a shame that my coach Alan is not racing also. It's a shame that the brother of Hezemans is not racing, because it would be an extreme grid. But yeah, no, I think everybody has their mind in their head. It's early in the season, everybody wants to get points. Also Ercole, he made a recovery with the points. Paul and me, we're trying to get some points back. Everybody wants to finish, so that's why I think we will be okay. It's more dangerous on the back than it is in the front.
I have one more question. You see also a lot of new drivers joining the series, trying to get into it, new teams. You have been here for a long time, and it took some years for you to be where you are right now. Is it one of the toughest racing series in Europe?
Well, I'd like to think so, because it's not easy to win at all. You see how the championships are split, how the wins are split. It's not something that you can dominate unless you work a lot and you put a lot of seasons. Even Alon, who is having 30 plus wins, in the beginning he wasn't winning. Even him, who is supposed to be, who is the best driver ever from this series. So,
it takes some time.
It takes some time, it takes patience, and it takes, mind not to crash. Because here crashing is very common, not winning.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you, Adam.
He's going to nick our jobs, Andre. He's too good at this whole chatting to a microphone thing. He was doing some of what a pro wrestling fan might call fantasy booking there, saying, let's get Loris Hazemans and Alan Day back. I wouldn't mind that if he's okay with it too. That would be very entertaining. But to Andre's point, the quality on the grid this season is immense, and in part that's because of the ascendancy for drivers like Thomas Chrysonis. He had 3 open podiums last year and a singular top 5 right at the end of the season in the Pro division, and this year he has absolutely come alive. Jack Davidson is with you, Andre.
Hey Jack, home racetrack, and you're again really competitive so far. What does make the difference for you to be at this track and race those race cars so fast?
Yeah, so home track, I mean, it's been really, really good. I've done over a few thousand laps around here, so that's what's helping me this weekend. I mean, all the other tracks we go to in the calendar, I've only ever been to like twice, so that's where I kind of struggle a little bit. But around here, as I said, I've done quite a few thousand laps from racing when I was 14 around here, so yeah, it definitely helps.
You established yourself now in Euro NASCAR after starting in another team, then building your own one. When you have a driver coming in or a team coming in, because you know both sides, how tough is it to get competitive and get into the contention of podiums and wins?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because this is our second season as the team. So me and my dad, we've Lux Motorsport, we've had it for years. As you said, we started in another team. And then we started our own. So I think it's just more getting time under the belt with how the car works setup wise, and also for driving as well. It does take time to get used to the car. I mean, they're not the easiest things to drive, especially for new drivers coming in. But to be fair, Matt's done really well this weekend so far. He was leading the race yesterday, but chucked it off. So yeah, I mean, no, it is really a hard car to get used to and drive, but I mean, we're slowly getting there.
But this is a really good point. Can I get you for a second? You mentioned your race. You were leading the race, and then, yeah, something happened. Can you tell me, Matthew Ellis here?
Yeah, let's be honest, I made a mistake. I could make all the excuses under the sun, and to be honest, we're really good at that. It's like a qualification to be a racing driver. But no, I missed braking zone by a tiny bit, locked the rears, and then just sent it into orbit through paddock, really. Got on. Was on a mission to try and get the places back, and decided to loop it even better at Surtees. So started 8th, finished 8th. Lots happened in between that. There's some good stuff to take away, but no, made a bit of a mistake myself, so have to make up for it today.
But I was asking him, when you come here as a racing driver in this series with those special cars, no electronic driving aids, pure racing, how long does it take to get used to it and be really competitive?
Well, apparently not that long. I mean, hey, we were leading, and I only got...
In the rain.
Yeah, exactly, and I only, well, turned up this weekend. But no, it is really difficult, but a lot of my background is historic with no traction control, no ABS, so actually this leads itself to it really well. Like, in all truth, that I was praying for wet. I said on the live stream I want rain, so I proved that straight away. So no, but it helps. The car it's a great car, set up really nicely. It works well. You know, Jack's done a lot with the team. So yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to. Don't get me wrong, the gearbox was the big change for me this year, given, you know, previously we had dog boxes, etc. So yeah, it's taken time, but thankfully they've all sat down and helped and pushed me forward and answered all the questions the right way. So yeah, we'll get there. Hopefully next race will be another improvement and maybe another one and another one. You know how the conversation goes.
This sounds really good. It sounds like another comeback maybe very soon. We will see. Okay, back to you, Adam. Thank you so much.
That's a fun bunch down there. I know Mr. Ellis from some past commentary endeavours in the UK. As he said, he's got a lot of history in some slightly older, more manual cars anyway, so he does gel well with the Euro NASCAR machine. Will be good to see how Jack Davidson does today. Had his strongest starting position in the history of his Euro NASCAR Pro tenure last time out. 4th place, was initially running in 2nd as well. He will start from 7th place today, just behind Thomas Chrysonis and Sebastian Blakemolen, who sit there on row 3 of the grid. So really interesting to see if Jack can make some forward progress here. Of course, everyone on the home banks has that little partisan streak where they want to see the home team do well, and it is that pink car, the Lux Motorsport number 21, that's kind of the home kit for our drivers and teams this weekend, or among our drivers and teams this weekend, I should say. Dufro and Hazeman's on the front row of the grid. I think that's going to be really interesting. As Liam said, I haven't really raced him very much wheel to wheel, and we're going to have to see how it pans out in real time. The point standings that we already looked at earlier on, of course, will be key today, since there is that additional incentive on the line for the likes of this man, our current points leader, Vittorio Garelli. He's 11 points clear, and if he can be the championship leader at the end of this race, once the Strom Watches countdown to commanders tick to 0 and we go racing, if he's still there at the front of the standings, he will be going to the historic and fabulous Trois-Rivières Street Circuit in the NASCAR Canada Series in August, and that will be a huge boon for him. It's an opportunity to platform yourself in North America at arguably one of Canada's largest racing events outside of the Formula One Grand Prix. That is nothing to sniff at all. So really interesting stuff for the championship leader, whoever that proves to be. It is Garelli in that hot seat for now, but Gianmarco Ercoli and Chrysonis could both do something from their positions, and Paul Giffro for that matter, if there is an issue in this race for Garelli. And remember, we haven't really alluded to it yet, but Vittorio Garelli's number 24 PK Car Sport car was heavily wounded after the Friday. A big crash for Thomas Dombrowski, several rolls in the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend after an issue with the right front wheel. And so it is quite the moment. It was quite the moment yesterday to see that Garelli's car, the number 24 PK Car Sport machine, was ready for racing action, and thankfully it was, because Garelli's campaign, his title defence so far, has been going well, and it would have been a shame to see a kind of external force prohibit him from competing this weekend. But PK Car Sport went the extra mile to make sure that car was ready to go, and now he sits on the precipice of being the championship leader, coming out of Brands Hatch and winning that all-important opportunity to race at Trois-Rivières. We're under 10 minutes now until the countdown to command, and in the next few seconds we will have the national anthem of the US. The Star Spangled Banner will be performed live here by personnel from the US military, and that will be a really stunning moment. Let's go down there now.
That's what she's from as well, so it is a home national anthem. I always have incredible respect for the people singing it because it's an incredibly difficult one. Right, so today's ceremony is supported by the airmen from the United States Air Force stationed at RAF Mildenhall. I'm delighted to say that singing today's national anthem is the senior airman Naisha Blanco.
Right shoulder.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red-glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Wow, that was a fabulous rendition for sure, and our thanks to all of the representatives there from the base for giving us that performance. A fabulous addition to the pre-race festivities here on Speedfest Sunday. I'm watching that strongwatches.com clock with eager anticipation. We are 6.5 minutes, less than 6.5 minutes away from the most famous words in motorsport, and the singing voices replaced by the bellows of 22 V8 stock cars. It is American Speedfest 12. It is one of the highlights of the NASCAR Euro Series calendar. Whenever we roll into a circuit, the fans join us, and we thank you always for doing that. The fans come along. There's always a little bit more going on around the circuit for you to enjoy, but there's nothing on the calendar quite like Speedfest. The numbers of people, the addition of the music festival that's going on around the site as well. Lots to enjoy for families, and of course we have that huge community of classic NASCAR drivers here in the UK as well. There's so many NASCAR Cup Series car, NASCAR Craftsman trucks, and NASCAR Xfinities or Nationwides or Busch or whatever you want to call them, the second division cars that have come over here to the UK as well. So it is hugely impressive to come here to American Speedfest and soak it all in. And I know, Andre Vigold, that you've been soaking in every moment of this year's American Speedfest. It's one of those events that doesn't really get old, does it? Every time we come back, it's a bit of a reminder that, wow, okay, the racing community here at Brands really does enjoy their NASCAR Euro Series.
Yeah, definitely. This event is something special. I even had time in the morning to go around and take a look at the American Speedfest. I even have my package of NASCAR diecast ready that I will bring to Germany after this event. Of course, I also...
Don't tell me things like that.
Yeah, I already spent some pounds here at American Speedfest, but this place is just packed. There's so much going on for the families, for the kids, but also for racing enthusiasts. So It's perfect, the perfect combination, entertainment, racing, and a lot of stuff to do. And when you take a look at the schedule, it's not only the NASCAR Euro Series, but also a beautiful support program with racing pickups, old V8 cars, pickup trucks, whatever you want. There's so much going on. So American Speedfest brand head up. This is really one of the coolest and craziest event in the schedule, and I really love it every year.
I'm not envious that I haven't had the chance to get any 164s this weekend, I promise. It is an absolutely incredible event. I remember, I first saw Euro NASCAR here back in 2012 when it was a DTM support for the first year of the series running under NASCAR sanctioning. And people's heads were being turned by it then. Obviously, it was a new concept. NASCAR in Europe? Okay, that's interesting. And then for the following year came the American Speedfest. And coming to Speedfest and seeing not just what we make of it, but of course what MSV make of it, with it being one of the headline events here at Brands Hatch across the season. They make sure that all of those trade stalls are there, that you can basically show up and have, if you are a fan of NASCAR, kind of the ultimate almost shopping centre for yourself there on Colin Chapman Way. You're in amongst muscle cars and pickup trucks and all of these wonderful things you'd wish to see on a daily basis. And then you can buy the latest Cup Series merch. You can buy a 164 of a Starton Park from 27 years ago if you wish. There's such a huge amount of merchandise there available, and it is quite the special feeling. And we're seeing more and more of that connection between our series and Europe, of course, and that Retty Jones racing car on pole position is a key example of that. The Retty Jones Racing collaboration for this year, forged by Jill Linster, Liam Hazemans and Hendricks Motorsport. Liam's on pole position, Andre, and of course he is our defending king of Brands Hatch. He is going to be keen here to finish on a high and maybe, just maybe, retain that throne.
Yeah, definitely. He wants to be the reigning king of Brands Hatch, and he has a really good starting position. He told us before he never raced against Paul Giffreau. They get along really well. I hope this will be the case also after the race. And you also mentioned a lot of history, and when we take a look at this grid, it's not only the American Speedfest, it's this track. It looks tiny, it looks small, but this is one of the toughest challenges. And being a Euro NASCAR driver also means you have to face a really, really tough challenge. I would say it's one of the toughest NASCAR championships, touring car or stock car championships in Europe. Because when you take a look in the history books, there are only 7 drivers since 2012 that have more than 10 wins. We have Vittorio Ghirelli and Gianmarco Ercoli tied with 11 wins each. So to win a Euro NASCAR race is something really special, and to do it more than once is really special. And as far as my number is right, Liam Hazemans is at the moment at 4 wins in Euro NASCAR Pro. He wants to get to those 10. And you will be in a very exclusive club. So when you think you come to Euro NASCAR and just win, this is going to be you really have to take your time, be competitive, and work really hard to be able to win races here.
Right, well, let's go downstairs to our Grand Marshal for the most famous words in motorsport.
Thank you. Driver, start the engine!
That's Mark St. Amour from Costco, Vice President of Costco, giving the command, and we are now firing these engines into life. The grid for this race then determined by yesterday's fastest laps, as we have alluded to, and that means that Paul Giffreau kind of gets a second chance at this after the car was ailing on Saturday. Gianmarco Ercoli, yesterday's winner on that second row of the grid. There are a few drivers I expect to be disruptors as well, a little bit further back. I think maybe Garrett Lowe can make good on a difficult Saturday by making some positions up on Sunday. He starts all the way back. in 17th. Claudio Remigio Capelli in 12th place. He's always one to get stuck in and make up some places where he can. And Bruno Mulders, the wonder kid of this year's NASCAR Euro Series, now competing across the Pro and the Open divisions after turning so many heads in the Open division at the season opener in Valencia. He is starting from 9th on the grid, so I think he is going to be one to watch. And Jack Davidson, with that kind of hometown energy coursing through his veins, of course not his hometown, he's in Scotland, but you see my point. He is the driver to watch for the locals this weekend, and that support and all of that kind of patting on the shoulder and go on, get us a podium that he'll have just experienced during the grid walk is going to be pushing him forward to go as quickly and as well as possible here today at the American Speed Fest 12. We've got 2 races to bring you today. The Open division comes after this later on this afternoon, but now it's time for the pros, time for the big boys, and it is going to be the reigning king starting from pole position. Liam Hasemans with the Retty Jones Racing number 30 Mustang on pole. He's alongside RDV Competitions Paul Giffreau, another Mustang in second. Gianmarco Ercoli for Illumitech Racing, third place. Yesterday's winner, Vittorio Gorelli, meanwhile, is in fourth position. Fifth place is Thomas Krasonis on the third row of the grid. He's alongside Sebastian Blakemolen, who'll once again be looking to score solid points because it's served him well so far. Jack Davidson from 7th alongside Fabrizio Armetta, who looked really strong yesterday, running as high as 4th place. Bruno Mulders in 9th alongside Thomas Torfel, who had a great race yesterday in the Open division. Giorgio Maggi in 11th place, and the aforementioned Claudio Remigio Capelli starting from row 6 there alongside Maggi. The rest of the grid, Martin Dubek 13th, Vladimir Osiortsis alongside in 14th, Julian Reberg 15th, Ulysse Delso 16th, Garrett Lowe starting from 17th place, and Max Lanza will be alongside him. Max Maserati and David Kajaya on the 10th row. Jordan Wallace in his first weekend in the series starting from 21st. Federico Monti taking up the rear in 22nd place. The anticipation is building, Andre. We're just moments away from hearing that V8 thunder. They'll be going 2 by 2 any minute now. And I suspect that the Pro Division drivers are going to have us go out with a bang this weekend in the Pro Division. As I said, the Open is still to come, but here come the Pros.
Yeah, definitely. And I have one more information. You already mentioned Garrett Lowe. Remember that he had a little contact with Paul Giffreau during qualifying, and he had to replace one of his tires. And they, of course, then need to use a used tire. And the team told me they took one from Vallelunga that had already almost 40 laps on it. So this is the reason why Garrett Lowe is struggling finding the right pace here at Brands Hatch, because he's using an even older tire than the others on his car after one got damaged. This is one information maybe very important why Garrett Lowe is struggling here at Brands Hatch.
Interesting point there for sure. Garrett Lowe will be hoping for a good result here. He's been competitive, he's been strong so far this season. Up until yesterday, he had nothing but top 10s. So then, 2 by 2 formation. Paul Giffreau is on your outside, not the favoured line here at Brands Hatch, heading into Paddock Hill Bend. Liam Hasemans is alongside him. They've said they're great friends. They've not really raced each other door to door before, but it begins now as we go racing in American Speed Fest 12 for the final time with the Pro Division this weekend, and it is Hasemans that leads the way early doors. Gianmarco Ercoli is alongside Paul Giffreau as they go 3, possibly even 4 wide through Druids Bend. Huge compression of the field as they go through that hairpin at the top of the hill for the first time. Ercoli has solidified himself in second place. Giffreau has been demoted to third. Then it's Vittorio Gorelli in fourth place. Blakemolen and Krasonis side by side. Krasonis forced across the grass. Oh, and he gets right next to Bruno Mulders there. Mulders did well to avoid contact with Krasonis, but Bruno Mulders has made up places. I think he's up to 6th place at the conclusion of the first lap from 9th. Oh, and a big crash towards the rear of the field. That was a heavy impact. I think that might have been Garrett Lowe and one other party, but we'll wait to see.
It was.
That
I can
was
tell you.
a huge.
Yeah, I can tell you it's Max Maserati.
Okay, yeah, so Lanza and Maserati, the two involved with that. We've gone to full course yellow. 2 cars involved with that collision. The big impact there, I think, was towards Lanza, and that was a big collision. FCY, understandably, the field neutralised now at a set pace. But that was a heavy impact. It is Hazeman's at the front then. Yeah, that was not the ideal place to collide, just coming onto the Brabham Straight. And, well, the good news is that we can see Lanza getting out of the car. That was a hefty impact for the 88 car specifically. I think Maserati is already out as well. Yes. But you can see that limping there for Lanza, certainly a big impact. The wind will be knocked out of him a bit, but again, and not for the first time this weekend, we can applaud the safety of these Euro NASCAR machines. Yes, it looks quite spectacular when they have a major accident. They do disintegrate, but that's the point. The force is going to the bodywork and the chassis and not to the driver, and that allows them to walk away after a big one like that.
I can tell you something. I was observing the situation, and there's also a lot of sportsmanship in this championship. Max Maserati left the car, and he was really running towards the 88 car. We see here now the impact. Wow, what a hit. What a hit. So he was running towards the car of Max Lanza to check if he's all right. That was the first thing in mind for Max Maserati when he climbed out of the car. And you saw in his body language immediately that everything is fine. And then we saw Max Lanza climbing out of the car. So it was a really heavy hit. And I think there's going to be a lot of repairs to those tire stacks there. Have you seen, Adam, how the 88 car was lifted up into the air after hitting the tire stack? Yeah. That was a really heavy one.
Yeah, that's a very heavy impact. It's not a conventional place to have a car spinning in that direction at that speed, and certainly Brands Hatch always going the extra mile to make sure that there are tyre stacks around the circuit to make sure that the energy is dissipated even further in the event of a crash like that. And Max Maserati, as you said, you know, his first priority was making sure that the other party in that one was okay. It was just an unfortunate first lap collision, the kind of force majeure racing incident that does sometimes happen when you've got 22 big V8 stock cars trying to find space across a 1.2 mile circuit on the first lap. And, well, thankfully everyone is all right after that, but that was a big impact indeed. And as you said, just seeing that car lift off after the impact, a bit hair-raising, but thankfully Lanza is out of the car. So then we will have a few laps here under safety car to get those tyre stacks back into position. If anything, I do wonder if we might go red before we go green, just because it is going to take a while to get everything back into situ. But for now, it's lap 4 of 38, and we are running under safety car with Liam Hasemans as our race leader. Erkely, Giffro, Gorelli, Blake Imolan and Mulders, our top 6. In 7th place, Chrysonis, Davidson, Tuffel and Armetta rounding out the top 10 at the end of that first lap. We get a look back now at the start of the race, and Gianmarco Erkely did a good job there of following Hasemans to the first corner, making sure he got a good start, and then managed to get to the inside, or to the outside I should say, of Giffro. Paul Giffro went defensive around Druids Bend, but still Erkely had the grip, had the confidence in his tyres to run around the outside of Druids. And I do wonder if that's an indicator. We mentioned it yesterday, Andre. We felt that Erkely was managing for most of that race yesterday, as we get another look there at that moment. And there was another car involved in that. I think that might have been the 22 Club Motorsport car of Ulysse Delso that was also in amongst all of that. But a huge collision, a huge moment, and yeah, 3 cars involved, 2 embedded in the gravel. But yeah, that was dramatic. But to my point on Gianmarco Ercoli, we're speculating that those tyres were maybe being looked after, and I wonder if going around the outside at Druids on lap 1 is a symptom of a man with a good set of Hoosiers underneath him coming into this second race.
Yeah, definitely, and also a lot of confidence, I guess. Gianmarco Ercoli, he's a guy. He needs this win of the season, and then it starts to rolling for him. When he bursts the nut and really gets into the momentum, he needs to be successful. He's almost unstoppable, and I think you can really see that Carl Racing, Alumitech Racing, Carl Racing is the technical partner, Gianmarco, and also the setup of the car. Everything here matches really good at Brands Hatch, and I believe that at the end of the regular season at Autodrome Most, and then after dropping one result and we go to the double point playoffs, that Gianmarco Ercoli will play a factor in the championship battle, because even if he struggles, when he finds this one win, he's unstoppable, and now he's gaining a lot of confidence in the car and in himself, and therefore he's a really, really fierce contender for the title in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely right. So then, as you'd expect, we're not anywhere near going back to green yet with all of that barrier damage in those cars where they are situated. If you are just joining us, Max Maserati and Max Lanza having a big moment down at the first corner. Ulysse Delso was in amongst that as well in the 22 Club Motorsport car. We get a replay of it now, and the reason we can show you a replay is because we know they are A-OK both out of the car. Well, a bit winded perhaps, but walking away from the machine, the most important thing, of course, and a huge impact there to the tyre wall, and the pair of cars absorbing the damage, taking the hit as well as we could possibly hope. And that 88 is going to take some moving. As you can see it, they're still embedded into the tyre barriers. So then the Marshall crew here at Brands Hatch working hard as they do week in and week out here at the circuit, and our thanks as always to the heroes in orange for doing their thing and making sure that we can race safely, making sure that in situations like this the tidy up is as optimized as possible. And on lap 6 of the race we now go to a red flag. That is not a surprise. As I mentioned a few laps ago, it's going to take a while. That's not the work of 5 minutes, getting those barriers back into position and getting that car extracted from the barriers as well. And so for the benefit of having a full race here for the Euro NASCAR Pro Series, a red flag was really the only way forward.
Yeah, definitely. It takes some time to replace the tire stacks and to repair everything, because of course if there's going to be another accident at the same place, you need to make sure that the tire stacks will absorb the energy again, and therefore it's the right choice now to stop racing, keep the marshals working in a safe place. It's also, you think behind the safety car it's so slow, but they are still going quite fast there, and then when there are people working on track, it's always a factor of risk, and you don't want to risk anything there. There are people working to make racing happen, and therefore it's the right choice, in my opinion, to red flag this race. We go to pit lane and then we wait until we can continue this race. But we saw a very interesting first lap, in my opinion, Adam. First of all, a great pace of Gianmarco Ercoli, a perfect start for Liam Hazelmans, but he got a little bit of help by Gianmarco because he was pushing him a lot towards Paddock Hill Bend, and he let go in the right moment, so Liam Hazelman could brake. Paul Giuffreau had a good start, Girelli only in 4th position, but I see a very strong Gianmarco Ercoli this weekend, and he may be the one, getting the crown at the end if he's managing to get more points than Liam Hazelmans. And this big accidents we had with Max Maserati and Max Lanza, and you said it also that Ulysse Delso was somehow involved in some context there. Yeah, we have to just wait, but I guess we're getting back to racing, and then we're going to see a very exciting race in Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gianmarco Ercoli would be, if things were to finish as they currently are on the timing screens, he would be the king of Brands Hatch for this year. And it felt to me, Andre, you mentioned there that he's looked strong this weekend. it seemed to me that something clicked, possibly even mid-weekend at Vallelunga. Suddenly, it seemed as though the car was stronger. It seemed as though they'd maybe found something in the setup. And to me, Gianmarco Ercoli is looking the strongest and most potent force that we've seen him since 2023, quite frankly. I didn't feel that he quite had that same performance in 24 that he had in his title-winning 2023 season. But now it feels like it's all starting to click again, that he is starting to be a regular challenger for victories once more.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I told you earlier. When he gets this one win in and gains the confidence, then he's there. If he's having a year like last year where the win is missing and he doesn't get this one thing, this little spark that enlightens the fire, then it's going to be tough for Gianmarco Ercoli, because it's also a mind game, of course, racing in Euro NASCAR. And Adam, we said it before, yesterday he made the win happen, and I think we have the opportunity now to take a look at the racing we had yesterday here at Brands Hatch, and we should take the opportunity during the red flag, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's take a look.
Drivers, start your engines!
Gianmarco Ercoli is on pole position. Alongside him, Vittorio Gorelli. We're underway and racing at Brands Hatch, and it looks like a good start from Gorelli, but he's going to have the outside line into Paddock Hill Bend. Davidson with a brilliant start. He's around the outside from 4th to 2nd. Side by side there is Fabrizio Armetta, is making a bid for 4th position, and he gets it. Davidson with Gorelli, Armetta, Chrysonis and Hazemans all right behind him. Jeffro has a problem. The car is looking a little bit mangled as well. Jack Davidson is in a hot seat. Never mind that, he's sitting in a frying pan because Vittorio Gorelli is right on his rear tail lights at the moment. He's managed to find a car's width, but he's not able to get past Davidson. Between Davidson and Gorelli, Paul Jeffro is back out on the circuit. He has the inside line. Davidson now under threat as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to try and cut back the inside for the run towards Druids, but Gorelli is comfortably through as they head back up the hill towards Druids. He goes defensive, of course. But
it's not only that Davidson is only in his 3rd season in the NASCAR Euro Series, it's only the 2nd season for Lux Motorsport.
It's side by side between Armetta and Chrysonis, and Armetta holds on by the skin of his teeth, and Liam Hazeman sees the opportunity. Chrysonis goes from attacking to losing out, and it is 5th place for Liam Hazeman. Can he now challenge? Hazeman's now trying to defend from Chrysonis. He's trying to fight back. And it is Claudio Remeggio Capelli who has ended up in the gravel trap just shortly after a 10-second penalty was applied to him for track limits. The green flag bulletin was never given, at least on the feed that I have here, but we are now racing, and it's Ercoli versus Gorelli. The Italians are right together with 2 laps to go. Number 11 Ford Mustang that leads the way. He loves this place, and he is a winner in the NASCAR Euro Series with the 11. Gorelli takes 2nd. Mulders with a podium in Euro NASCAR Pro. There will be 2 extra formation laps. Look at them, they're all going for it. Everyone's coming into the pit lane. What does this mean for the starting order? This isn't going away, I'm afraid. This is going to be a prolonged rain shower. These conditions are getting worse and worse and worse, and I have to assume that those who have not pitted are on wet tyres. The start presented by Whelan. We are underway at Brands Hatch. There's definitely wet tyres on those cars at the front, but we are going to see his local experience come in very useful indeed here. It is hugely wet here at Brands Hatch right now. You are witnessing not the boat race, but a car race, and Beers is off the circuit. It looks borderline unmanageable right now. What happens next? Will we get more racing in here? It is Schack from Richard, from Toffel, from Ellis, from Beers, your top 5 here. We're racing, and Thomas Toffel is very, very quick out of the gates. He moves from 3rd to the lead.
And now we have the 21 car in the lead, so Thomas Toffel was not able to keep the lead.
Oh, and it's a spin for the number 1. Andres Beers loses it on the run to Druids Bend, stops there. Ellis leads by 3.4 seconds from Toffel in 2nd place. Then it's Dombrowski fighting it out with Melvin de Groot, and Bruno Mulders running in 5th position. He's doing a good job, and behind him is O'Brien, who is registered on the timing as a lap down, and he makes contact with Mulders. O'Brien makes contact with Mulders. He's under threat from Sandro Tabak-Kilatsa as they head down to Paddock Hill Bend, and there's a car coming out of the pit lane, a couple of cars coming out of the pit lane, including Thomas Chrysonis.
It's really confusing at the moment what's going on, because there are cars all over the track, but it's really hard to understand who's where.
One false move like that one and everything changes, and it does for Richard Ellis. He's lost the lead. He's dropped down to 3rd place. Thomas Toffel, who bizarrely was our pole sitter at the start of this, but he's gone off. Ellis has again had an issue. It looks like Martin Dubeck has front end damage. I think the weather is getting worse yet again. On currently around the circuit, it's side by side for the lead. Here comes Melvin de Groot. They go either side there of Happy Nessa. Crazy stuff for the lead. Melvin de Groot has the inside line. Brilliant racing between both parties, and the Dutchman, the giant himself. To be quite honest, I'd forgotten how excited I got towards the end of that open race. No wonder I felt croaky this morning. A brilliant day of racing. Of course, one storyline we can pick up from looking at those highlights as well as yesterday's pro race. You heard me say it, that Mulders claimed a podium in Euro NASCAR Pro, but that was then taken away due to a penalty which promoted Jack Davidson up onto the 3rd step of the overall podium. So Mulders will be looking to rectify that situation here. Red flags here at Brands Hatch. Barrier repairs still ongoing at the start of the Brabham Straight, coming out of Clearways and Clark Curve after a collision between Max Lanza and Max Maserati, with Ulysse Delso, a third party, still involved in that, but his car was still rolling at the time of the red flag. Now, with all of yesterday's excitement in the Pro Division, came a new championship leader in Euro NASCAR Pro. And that new championship leader, of course, being Vittorio Garelli, was Paul Giffreau, who came in with the points advantage. Giffreau, the driver who still has the most victories of anyone here in the Pro Division this season. The only driver to have won more than once this year is Paul Giffreau. But Vittorio Garelli leads the points, and of course, with the consideration of the fact that we have a NASCAR Canada Series seat for Trois Rivières, for the winning driver for the driver leading the championship coming out of this weekend, it is huge for Girelli that he leads those standings at the moment that we have up on screen. Andre, it's going to be interesting when we get to Oschersleben, of course, because it's a seat exchange, which means that Rafael Lessard will be in a car at Oschersleben. But, I mean, you've been talking to drivers this weekend. Have any of them made any noises about the potential, the excitement of potentially going to a circuit as famed as Trois-Rivières and racing in the NASCAR Canada Series?
To be honest, they are a little bit reserved because nobody wants to jinx something. It's the same with the crown of Brands Hatch. They say, of course, I want to have it. Of course, I want to do it. But let's wait until Sunday and let's talk about it when it's happening. So nobody wants to jinx it. Nobody wants to say something about it before they really take the opportunity. And it's only be one driver. It's going to be one driver who's leading the championship afterwards. And Vittorio Girelli is also one of those drivers, as well as Gianmarco Ercoli. They don't like to talk about the future. They want to stay in the here and now. And Girelli said, first of all, I need to win. First of all, I need to bring in the points. And when we have it, then we can talk about it. Of course, I think everybody there in front of the Euro NASCAR Pro standings wants to be the one going to the GP3R in Trois-Rivières in Canada. It's the second time already that we're doing it. I know that RDV competitions advisor and veteran driver Frédéric Gabillon, who raced in Euro NASCAR before but now is part of the team. He was there already in the street race. And it's going to be a fantastic opportunity to go to North America, to go to Canada and showcase the skills we have here in Europe in circuit racing. And therefore, it's a huge opportunity. And we have to thank Team FJ, the organizer, the owner of the NASCAR Euro Series, for creating such amazing opportunities, and also having a Canadian driver like Rafael Lessard then in Germany, and that's going to be my home race, is going to be something very special. So I really love the exchange. NASCAR is not only the US, it's America, it's Canada, it's Brazil, it's Mexico, and it's Europe. And therefore, those exchange programs, they help to, get the ties and improve the relationships between the different series inside of NASCAR.
Yeah, again, as you said, that international expansion is huge, and we must thank the parties who are supporting this exchange program, which is Russo Metal and Festidrag, who are creating yet another bridge, of which there are more and more crossing the Atlantic between the NASCAR Euro Series and the North American competitions. Of course, the NASCAR Cup Series isn't far away now from going international racing for the first time in many, many years, with a trip to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City, which is something I'm really looking forward to. When I was 10, 11 years old, of course, the Busch Series was going there, and racing, now known as the Xfinity Series, of course. And I just have fond memories of that, so I'm looking forward to that as a fan of NASCAR, generally speaking, and I'm surely going to be watching that NASCAR Canada Series race in Trois-Rivières as well. I actually caught the season opener at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, where I was cheering on one of our own, as it were, in the form of Ryan Vargas, whose mission to race in every NASCAR sanctioned series on the face of the planet continues. Having done a full season in Euro Series, he's now going to Canada, Brazil and Mexico TBD for Ryan Vargas. But of course, we are still under red flag here. I think progress is being made quite well. I think we're closer to green than the start of red at this point, Andre. If I could pick your brain for a minute, sir. Obviously, there is a time clock to these races. We saw yesterday's open race reduced to 25 laps as a result of the delays. Now, I assume the clock is still running for this race as well, that we may well end up with a reduced distance here.
Yeah, it could be the case. We have to wait for a call from race control, what they're going to do, but there's a 45 plus 1 lap maximum in pro racing, and therefore the clock is definitely ticking there. But I see that the marshals are getting closer and closer to get this tire stack repaired. They are working really, really hard right now. And I think it's just a matter of some more minutes that we can go back to first yellow and then green. But I have to get back to the international stuff you said before. I have to ask, when were you born? What was the year?
Am I going to upset you now? 1997.
You know, I was a kid, but I even remember that NASCAR was in Japan.
Yes, Suzuka. Yes.
Yeah, I can remember that. I was already alive there. You know, I'm turning 35 in a few days, so yeah, a little bit of an age difference, but not that much. But we share the enthusiasm for racing. It doesn't. Age is just a number there, so that doesn't matter. But yeah, it's really cool to see that the NASCAR series is not only focusing on the big market that is the US for sure, but we have also racing, stock car racing under the NASCAR banner elsewhere, and the NASCAR Euro Series established as one of the toughest and purest racing series in Europe, with cars without any electronic driving aids, pure V8 engines. There's a good cost effectiveness behind those business cases for teams and drivers, and all this makes this championship so great, in my opinion.
And it was awesome, obviously, a couple of years ago now to see NASCAR approach Le Mans with the Garage 56 project, with the specially developed next gen car in collaboration with Hendrick Motorsport in the US, and that was a really special program, of course, harkening back to that spirit of the 70s, where a Charger and a Gran Torino showed up to Le Mans, and while they weren't wildly successful at that time, what they did do was turn a huge number of heads and bring a whole new audience to NASCAR racing at the time in France. I'm sure, you know, it's quite a French contingent we have in the paddock. Team FJ and the Euro NASCAR organisers are French-based, and I'm sure there's a few people who work on the NASCAR Euro Series today who were perhaps introduced to the whole idea of NASCAR racing in a pre-internet, pre-televised live from the United States world, that were introduced to the idea of stock car racing through that Le Mans effort back then. And we saw much the same thing in 2023. I found myself having so many conversations with people who are new to the kind of idea of NASCAR beyond, I don't know, highlight reels of the big one at Daytona, having a chat with me, finding out what the next gen car was, why it was different, and you know, it was really heartening as someone who's been a fan for a good couple of decades to, you know, chat to people who are just learning about it, just getting into it because of that Le Mans effort. And that's yet another one of those signs of investment that, you know, NASCAR International is getting bigger and bigger and becoming more and more of a priority. The very fact that there is a NASCAR International, an arm dedicated within the headquarters in Charlotte for the furthering the progression of these international series and the international NASCAR fan base, that's a huge signifier, and is certainly promising for years to come.
Yeah, definitely. And also, these cars here in the Euro NASCAR, they are so competitive. I, of course, read a lot of comments on the internet, and when you just compare, I'm also a huge fan of the BTCC, and when you compare the lap times on those BTCC cars, they are quite fast compared to other touring cars. We are very close to those lap times. So here you have a, sorry for that, shoebox, spec engine, spec chassis, spec cars, where the drivers and the teams make the difference in setups and in their driving, but those cars are really fast. And I talked to some team members that were testing those cars with all the tools available, and they said those cars, they can compete with the GT4, GT3. They are way faster than TCR, for example. And a lot of companies that got introduced to Euro NASCAR, they were surprised how good those cars are performing. The only thing is, you cannot come here and think you will be competitive. You saw it with Gianmarco Ercoli. He won the Open Championship and took him years to be a contender in Pro. Take a look at Vittorio Girelli. He won the AutoGP. He was in GP2. He came to Euro NASCAR. He was really strong in Open, but it took him some years to be competitive in Pro. And I have tons of those examples. You cannot just arrive here and think you will be up front. This is a really high-level championship, especially in Pro, with a lot of professional drivers, with a lot of experience, and it takes some time to get used to those cars, to this kind of racing, and therefore this championship is a real challenge. And this is what I like, that you just cannot go there and compete at the front and then just leave. No, you have to take your time, you have to work hard and accept this challenge. And this is what I really like.
To reiterate, for those of you just joining us, we are under red flag conditions here in the American Speedfest at Brands Hatch. This is the 6th race of the season for the Pro Division in the NASCAR Euro Series. We had a first lap collision between Massimiliano Lanza and Max Maserati, or Maserati, I should say, to get that correct. On the first lap of the race, both drivers okay, both drivers out of the car under their own steam and walking away, but big barrier damage after the moment, and that has therefore triggered this red flag, which is still ongoing. Yes, sir, you're on television. Have a great day up there at the top of Paddock Hill Bend. Those are my ends when I was growing up. I never danced for a camera up there, but I spent many, many hours and many, many days of my teenhood watching racing here at Brands Hatch. It is such a fabulous circuit to watch from. Whenever they have a big series like NASCAR Euro Series, like the BTCC running on the Indy Circuit, it's just such a joy because you can see everything short of maybe 20 meters of the circuit that you can't see because of the tree line at Druids. You get the whole lap, you get the entire experience. As long as you are able to keep up with the racing, you can see every moment from up there on the Paddock Hill Bend grandstand. The fans saying hello, and great to have them with us. We're expecting around 50,000 people for this weekend. The numbers have been consistent and strong here at Brands Hatch over the years, and isn't it great, Andre, to be walking amongst them and hearing the enthusiasm, seeing the enthusiasm on the grid as well. The drivers, I think, probably have to do some wrist training specifically for American Speedfest, because boy, are they going to be signing some autographs.
Yeah, definitely. And also yesterday, I don't know how many times I got stopped by fans, and they were telling us, this is a nice thing for you. They were enjoying so far this season on this live streaming and the broadcast, and how we provide the information about EuroNASCAR to the fans, and they are all here packed with NASCAR gear. They have the shirts, they have the jackets, they have the hats. You see a lot of different drivers represented from the US here when I take a look at the grandstands. And also our PR manager, Gianluca Guiglia from Italy, is bringing in some questions right now that he got on the internet. What about the models we have here in EuroNASCAR? I want to tell you this, the cars are all the same. We have a spec engine, spec chassis, everything under the body is the same. There are two parts you can change, and this is the front bumper and the rear bumper, and there you can choose if it's a Chevy, if it's a Ford, or if it's a Toyota. But to be honest, everything is spec then. All the other parts are the exact same. So if you crash like today, Max Lanza, or on Friday, Thomas Dombrowski, you go to the part shops, you get your parts, you replace them, and then if the car is fixable, you'll be back racing. So even if the body is destroyed, the body parts are your least problem. You have to check if the chassis is okay, if the axles are okay, and even there, if the spare parts are available, and there's a lot of spare parts available during the race weekends, if you can repair them, it's possible to be back on track very soon. Of course, Max Lanza and Maserati out for this race, and I'm not sure, to be honest, Adam, with this impact we saw, if we see the 88 or the 89 car again today, to be honest.
No, that is a good point, yeah, for the open division race to come a little bit later on, and that will be a big disappointment for Roberto Benedetti in particular, I feel, in the 88 car, who's been really strong in a year where he's celebrating 10 years since his EuroNASCAR debut, and of course for Davide Friulio as well, stepping up from the rookie challenge for this weekend in the NASCAR Euro Series. Now, we got the bulletin a couple of minutes ago that it's 5 minutes before the restart. The drivers have been called back to their cars. While we still have the opportunity, and as the drivers are getting back into their cars, I will tell you a little bit about one of the drivers in particular who is getting back into his car, and that is Jordan Wallace Morris from Team Blakemolen. We had a little request to talk a little bit about his history. Of course, when we see a driver coming over from the United States, the first thought is, oh, he must be a NASCAR regular, but that's not really the case for Jordan Wallace. He comes in fresh off of GT4 and Carrera Cup racing experience primarily. He was the first African-American driver in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America and scored 3 podiums last year within the Pro-Am division of Porsche Carrera Cup North America. So a driver with a good bit of history and some good results behind him, will be restarting this race from 18th behind Garrett Lowe. And I do hope we see more of him. He was on the entry list for Valencia, but ended up not racing. He's here with us at Brands Hatch, and my hope is that we see more of Jordan Wallace, because I get the feeling that, again, given the time to get used to Euro NASCAR, given the time to figure it all out, I think Jordan could be an interesting driver for the series and some good results.
Yeah, definitely. And he's also really kind, always there in the paddock, really present for the fans. So I saw a lot of positives there, and he also got a good pace. So it would be amazing to see him back at Moss when will be there in August 30 and 31st. We're going to have a long summer break, and I think this is the best opportunity for fans out there to join the conversation also on Facebook, on Instagram, on X and TikTok, and also on YouTube. Join the Euro NASCAR community, give us a like, follow us, and most important, let us know what you want to know over the summer when we have the summer break about this series, or about the drivers, about the teams, because when we know what you want, we can produce this kind of content. So join the conversation there, and feel free to send us DMs or comment under the postings with things you want to know, and we try to make it happen.
Yep, absolutely right. Great to be just moments away now from getting back to racing conditions. We'll have a single file restart that has been confirmed, as you've seen on screen. 2 laps behind the safety car, and then a restart in single file, which I think for Liam Hasemans is going to be, I suppose, something of a lifeline that we have that single file restart, because again, based on what we saw on the first lap of the race prior to that red flag incident, Gianmarco Ercoli was very, very capable of hanging it around the outside and using what seems to be superior grip to move through the order. Ercoli, of course, was at the front of the field for the entirety of the race. Yesterday, the tyres on these cars, the Hoosier tyres, will have done qualifying. For the front runners, they'll have also done Super Pole, and then the 2 races all on the same set of tyres. And I think Gianmarco Ercoli is in a position here where he can potentially thrive, because he wasn't really in amongst the battles. Liam Hasemans, Vittorio Gorelli, drivers like that, they were fighting all throughout the race on Saturday. Ercoli was just kind of minding his own business and getting it done out at the front.
Yeah, definitely. And I can tell you something. I see that the work on the tire stacks is done. So the marshals did a really good job. We had a shot a few seconds ago with the marshal with a little bit of a snack there. Well deserved this weekend. On Friday, the heavy incident of Thomas Dombrowski, they were there securing that the driver is safe. Today, not only taking care of the drivers, but also of the tire stacks. And without the Orange Army, we have no racing. And this weekend, they proved to be just amazing. So I think shout out to everyone around the world volunteering to make racing happen. And today and this whole weekend long, we see how important it is to have really good guys out there.
And I'll shout them out for yesterday as well, because they had to stay out there
Yes.
during the during the rain in the open race. There was nowhere to hide, unfortunately, for many of our marshals, and they didn't have the option of scurrying back to the car and putting the heater on, as some of our fans did, in amongst all of that rain. So then, the safety car at the front of the field has its lights ablaze. It will be rolling in just a few moments' time here. And then we will be racing in the NASCAR Euro Series once again. 2 formation laps, and the order that they come out onto the track now in is Liam Hazeman's, our pole sitter, our reigning King of Brands Hatch from last year, at the front of the field. Gianmarco Ercoli, yesterday's winner, current king in waiting this year for the King of Brands Hatch title. He is second place. Dufro third, Garelli fourth, Blakemolen fifth, Mulders in sixth place, Chrysonis seventh, Jack Davidson in 8th place. In 9th, Thomas Torfel. Fabrizio Armetta, he dropped a couple of places early on. He's down in 10th place. Giorgio Maggi in 11th. Julian Reberg in 12th. Claudio Remeggio Capelli in 13th position. Vladimiros Siotzis 14th, Martin Dubek 15th, David Kajaya in 16th place, Garrett Lowe, Jordan Wallace, Federico Monti and Ulysse Del So will wrap up the 20 cars that continue on in this race from this point. So then, safety car conditions, we're back to rolling here in the NASCAR Euro Series, and in 2 laps time, well, effectively in 1 1/3 lap time now, we will be back to racing conditions. And after all of that time to kind of wait around, to stew, to think about what's happening, there's also the possibility that for some drivers, you know, keeping in that zone, staying ready to race, that can be quite a difficult thing to achieve. And I just wonder if we're going to see some drivers maybe just slightly off the boil early on, because after all of that build-up, all of that pre-race excitement, getting yourself into the zone, feeling your blood rush through your veins as you get ready to fire up the engine, we go racing, and then we have to wait around for a good half hour. It can be quite easy to kind of drop out of the zone, drop out of that adrenaline high, and maybe struggle a little bit when we're back to speed.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on a little bit of the character of the driver, who's able to cope with such a situation, who's trying to get back in the tunnel, and I think everybody has its own way to get back to focus there. But the good thing with 2 formation laps, I think this is the right way to get into the rhythm back again. Also getting a little bit heat in the car, not only the tires but also the brakes, so everything is ready. And we are now in the last formation lap. We're going to have a single file restart. A little bit of an advantage for Liam Hazeman's in the 30, Retta Jones Racing, the yellow car in front. Then Gianmarco Ercoli, Paul Giuffreau, our top 3 before we go back to green. Of course, we need to wait for a call by race control how long this race is going to be, because you said maybe it's going to be shorter because of the time limit. But I say maybe it's going to be longer because we can even add laps under the safety car.
Yes, quite possibly so. The last time they crossed the line, we were almost 42 minutes in, and it's 45 minutes plus 1 lap is the strict distance. So I am worried that we're going to get a somewhat curtailed race, but we'll wait and see what the ruling is there. All the same, Liam Hazeman's is at the front of the field. He has control. We are back to racing at the wheel and restart zone. Back to action in the NASCAR Euro Series Pro Division. Liam Hazeman's leads us. It's a good start from Davidson, seemingly from further back. Bruno Mulders around the outside of his team boss, Sebastian Blakemolen, for 5th position. Goodness me, Bruno doesn't pull punches with anyone, even his own team boss. Sensational. He's now trying to go around the outside of Vittorio Garelli as well. Garelli leans on young Bruno Mulders. Mulders ends up rally crossing and drops way, way down the field. Hugely unfortunate for him. Thomas Torfel has made up places. Thomas Chrysonis has dropped through the field behind Thomas Torfel. It's been a bit of a jumble there through the first few corners, but it's still Haymans from Ercoli, from Giuffreau, your top 3 in the race. Then it's Garelli, then it's Blakemolen, Davidson in 6th place, Thomas Torfel from 9th to 7th on that first lap back under green flag, but he's got a determined Bruno Mulders and Thomas Chrysonis right behind him as Gianmarco Ercoli's looking feisty on the back of Liam Hazeman's.
Oh, they went almost 3 wide there. Thomas Toffel, Bruno Mulders and Thomas Chrysonis into Paddock Hill Bend. But they sorted it out before they hit the apex. And now in Druids we have a spinner. There's somebody turned around. I need to check who it is. I cannot see it at the moment. Dubek, yeah.
Yeah, Martin Dubeck in a spin, the number 7 car. The defending champion, of course, in the Euro NASCAR Open Division, a 2-time champion there, and he's had some good runs this season already in Pro as well. His best finish this season in Pro, a 4th place, which he managed to do twice in Italy last time out in Vallelunga. He won't be doing that today. Gianmarco Ercoli closing in there on the right rear quarter panel of Liam Hasemans as they go through Paddock Hill Bend. Ercoli has the bit between his teeth. Now, we were talking about Ercoli's tyres potentially being fresh. Of course, the same may apply to Paul Giuffreau as well. He did a limited number of laps yesterday, didn't complete anything like the 38 laps that most around him did. He went back out after a technical issue to just get a quick lap in and seal the front row start for himself, but I reckon he's going to have some good grip. Gianmarco Ercoli's rear end there, stepping out in the Illumitech Racing number 11. I feel that Giuffreau might end up being the danger man, especially towards the end of this race.
Yeah, but there's one thing about Paul Giuffreau. He has also a fresh engine under the hood, and that means he needs to be a little bit careful because those engines, they need a little bit of mileage to be put under full load. So he has to be very careful with the temperatures and with the engine to not destroy a fresh V8 motor that he got there. But he's really fast at the moment, and he's trying to make a move on Gianmarco Ercoli, but he's really blocking well in the number 11 car, and there's one guy taking a little bit of an advantage from it, and this is Liam Hasemans. He opened the gap, so it's at least 1 car length at the moment, but then at the moment I say it, Adam, it's Ercoli attacking Liam Hasemans, so it's an amazing 3-way battle we have there for the lead.
Yeah, I think Liam Hasemans is Roger Federer, apropos since he used to play tennis. Paul Giuffreau is Andy Murray, and Gianmarco Ercoli, unfortunately, is the ball. He's being knocked to the rear of Hasemans, to the front of Giuffreau. He's kind of just stuck there in the middle, but it's soon going to be a 4-way scrap because Vittorio Girelli has focused forward. He's got himself a few car lengths over Sebastian Blake-Molen behind, and he's now keen to try and join the podium scrap. Of course, he wants to ensure that he's leading the standings coming out of this weekend to get the opportunity to race at Trois-Rivières, Canada, in the NASCAR Canada Series at GP3R. And he will have his eyes on that. He'll be wanting to extend his championship lead going into the second half of the season that kicks off at Most. Most will be the final part, of course, of regular season before we go to the double points playoffs at Oschersleben. Liam Hasemans looking for that opportunity to get to victory lane in Pro for the first time in this 2025 season. Last time out in the Retty Jones Racing number 30 car, it was a second place finish for him in race 2, 19th however in the first race with a technical issue. A strong weekend here at Brands, a first win of the season here at Brands would set him up so nicely for the rest of the year, but I feel he's being set up very nicely at the moment by Gianmarco Ercoli. Ercoli all over the rear as they go through Clark Curve and then out onto the main straight, onto the Brabham straight here at Brands Hatch. But Ercoli, I think, slightly delayed there by Hasemans. Hasemans woeing his car up mid-corner there to make sure that he got a good run and make sure that Ercoli was detached from the rear end of the number 30 Retty Jones Racing Mustang just enough, and it is now a 4-car scrap. The Camaro of Vittorio Girelli is all but there. PK Car Sports miracle work, overnight repairs to the 24 on Friday night into Saturday morning, paying off many times over this weekend with the performances of Vittorio Girelli, who is as strong as ever and wants to stand on that podium again. Here comes Paul Giuffreau, having a look to the inside briefly there at Surtees, but what a 4-car scrap we have at the front.
Yeah, what an amazing race so far, and at the moment Vittorio Girelli, he can pack his bag to go to Canada because he would defend his championship lead in 4th place, so maybe he can book his tickets to Canada already, but there are still 25 laps to go, so there's a lot of things that can still happen. But at the moment Liam Hasemans really with a good defending move here and then against Gianmarco Ercoli. He's trying everything, even the bump and run maneuver we saw there in the last turn, a little bit NASCAR style rubbing his racing we saw between Liam Hasemans and Gianmarco Ercoli, but Ercoli lost a little bit of the balance, and that what was the the time when Geoffroy tried to attack for second place. So Gianmarco Ercoli really needs to manage those attacks to not open the door for Paul Geoffroy. And now he's again back at the back bumper of Liam Hazeman. So Gianmarco Ercoli, I think, Adam, is really strong in the last part of the circuit, while Liam Hazeman has a little bit of an advantage in the first part.
Yes, it's interesting, that to and fro effect that we're seeing as Ercoli gets himself a nice run there coming through Paddock Hill Bend. Managed to not scrub off too much speed, but carried nice corner entry speed all the same, and is right there with Hazeman's. While we're watching this happen as Ercoli has to catch a bit of a slide there coming out of Druids. Thomas Toffel is still 7th place. We saw him under pressure from Mulders and Chrysonis, but they've started fighting each other, and now Toffel has about a half second over the duel going on behind him. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on throughout the field as well. Of course, Hazeman's leads the junior trophy classification at the front of the field at the moment, ahead of Paul Geoffroy, who's second in that class. Challenger trophy currently comfortably led by Toffel in 7th overall. There's your top 4 streaming through across the main straight and down towards the first corner at the moment. Ercoli again looking for a way, any way he can, to get around Liam Hazeman's, but Hazeman's controlling things at the moment, and I get the feeling as we get into that second half of the race, we're on lap 17 of 38, and I just wonder how long it's going to be before the patience wears out, particularly in Gianmarco Ercoli's helmet, because again, he got that win. You mentioned it, Andre. He got the win, and once he gets the win, I think there's that little bit more extra confidence in Gianmarco Ercoli, but not just confidence, exuberance. He's going to feel almost entitled to a second consecutive win here at Brands Hatch, and he will do just about anything he can to get past Liam Hazeman, especially as the laps wear down.
I'm going through the field right now a little bit. Jack Davidson in the 21 car in the Chevrolet in front of Thomas Toffel. We see him here in the 34 car. Is doing a great job again at his home track. Another top 10 result in the Pro Division would be a big step forward for Jack Davidson. Then we have Fabrizio Ametta in the 55 car, only in 11th place. Yesterday he was a contender for a podium. This race he struggled to stay inside of the top 10. Then we have Julian Rebeck in 12th place, and he's battling with Claudio Remigio Capelli. They're even side by side right now, and therefore we have some nice battles all over the field, but we have to stay, of course, at the top group, because this is where the big trophies are given away. Hazeman's, Ercoli, Geoffroy and Girelli. It's a 4-way battle, and I think it's going to be one of them being the one in victory lane later on.
And what interested me there, as Bruno Mulders is having a look to the inside of Toffel coming towards Druids Bend, if we hold this shot, we might see a move here. Yes, we do. Bruno Mulders is through. Thomas Chrysonis tries to follow him as well, but he's not going to get past Toffel. Toffel demoted to 8th place there. Up to 7th goes Bruno Mulders. And I was going to make the point that Toffel kind of got a bit of a bump and run on the previous lap from Mulders that didn't pay off, but this time it was a good run coming out of Paddock Hill Bend that granted Bruno 7th place. Chrysonis was all over the back of Toffel there, trying to follow him through. A little bit of contact between them on the Cooper Straight, but it didn't quite work out for Chrysonis. Thomas Toffel retains 8th at the very least. Let's see what Mulders can do from here then. He's streaking off ahead of Toffel. His next target is the man you were just talking about, Jack Davidson.
And Thomas Chrysonis is trying to get into 8th place, but a really nice blocking there from Thomas Toffel on the inside line of Druids, and he placed the car really well. But there's the next attack, but Thomas Chrysonis needs to brake a little bit too early and cannot make it stick. He needs to be a little bit more cautious, I think, there, and also a little bit, calmer maybe to get a proper run on Thomas Toffel, who's blocking and blocking and blocking, but maybe now on the inside. This is a good run for Thomas Chrysonis. He's side by side with Thomas Toffel on the start-finish straight. They head towards Paddock Hill Bend, and now Thomas Chrysonis even made it stick, but there's a crisscross maneuver by Thomas Toffel, but no chance to make the counter move. So Thomas Chrysonis now in 8th place ahead of Thomas Toffel.
we go. So the dam has burst, rather, for the number 34 M Racing Chevrolet Camaro. Of course, M Racing, the team of Ivan Muller in their first year in Euro NASCAR. Armetta having a moment there further back in the field, was running 11th, as we mentioned just a few laps ago, but he's had a moment there, made contact, seemingly some damage to the front of that 55 Club Motorsport car. He's now under pressure from Garrett Lowe for 14th position. Lowe to his inside there, going through Surtees. Garrett around the outside at Clark Curve and Clearways, difficult to do with the camber as it is at that apex, but they're still side by side as they head out onto the Brabham Straight. Amazing stuff between the two of them. Garrett Lowe is going to try to hold on around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend, something that only a rarefied few managed to do around the outside at that corner, and Garrett Lowe looks like he might add himself to the list. They're still side by side as they go through Druids. They've basically been side by side for a full lap at this point, and finally Garrett Lowe gets it done. Great driving for the BS Plus competition driver, the promotion driver, moving up there to 14th position, the hardest earned 14th place I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was amazing. Side by side for so many corners, and you saw the respect, both giving each other enough room to survive, to get the car on the asphalt, and this is exactly what we want to see in Euro NASCAR racing and stock car racing. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of touching, that's fine, but keep the cars clean and keep the battles fair, and this is exactly what Armetta and Lowe were doing here. So amazing stuff from both of them.
A great showcase of what kind of racing we can have here in the NASCAR Euro Series. Around the outside at consecutive corners, respect given there by Armetta, racing room provided by Fabrizio Armetta. Garrett Lowe did what he could and moved up into the position. Gianmarco Ercoli, meanwhile, is just a few car lengths clear at the moment of Paul Giffreau, which will allow him to focus in on Liam Hasemans. Hasemans has been picking up the pace. A few laps ago he set his best lap of the race, is consistently in the sub 49.5 bracket around the circuit, but last time by for Gianmarco Ercoli was his best lap of the race, a 49.230. The taps are being wound up just slightly by the Illumitech Racing Mustang driver after the first taste of success for that partnership between Gianmarco Ercoli, the technical partners at Cal Racing, and Illumitech themselves. It is, of course, at the forefront of Ercoli's mind to get that high of standing on the top step yet again. He's already on course with a second place finish here to be our 2025 King of Brands Hatch, but of course bigger picture, 2 wins, 80 points from the weekend here at Brands would be huge for Gianmarco Ercoli.
By the way, Bruno Mulders pulled into the pits and they are pushing the car into the garages, so maybe this race is over for Bruno Mulders. Very unlucky for the 72 car. Bruno Mulders showing a lot of potential here in his first year of auto racing, coming straight from karting into Euro NASCAR. And yeah, I think the race is over for him, and he's now only in 20th place. When I take a look at the field right now, we have Sebastian Blakemont fighting with Jack Davidson and Thomas Krassonis. Then we have Giorgio Maggi and Thomas Toffel fighting for 8th place. And Rehberg, Zortes and Garrett Lowe very close together, battling for 11th, 12th and 13th. Of course, we have the 4 cars there in front, and Hasemans, he still needs to take a look at the rear mirror because Ercoli is getting faster and faster.
Yeah, he got a bit loose there at the apex of the corner there as well. Liam Hasemans, most critical point where the wheels just, or the surface just starts to drop from underneath your wheels there at Paddock Hill Bend, and he just got a bit twitchy but managed to hold on just fine. Krassonis, just over a lap ago, set his fastest lap of the race, the fastest lap of the race from anyone, of 49.158. Of course, previously he was closing in on Bruno Mulders, but with Mulders now in the pit lane, what could have been a 4-car battle for 5th is now just 3, but a 3-car battle is going on there. Martin Dubeck, meanwhile, there was on the back of Fabrizio Armetta for 14th and 15th. In 10th position is Claudio Remeggio Capelli. However, he has a 10-second penalty now for avoidable contact. Now, he and Fabrizio Armetta were in roughly the same piece of real estate when we saw Armetta having a spin up at Druid, so I do wonder if the two events are connected, and if it's not that, maybe it was Martin Dubeck's spin earlier on. We've seen a couple of cars in that kind of midfield skirmish in a spin. All the same, Claudio Remeggio Capelli will drop down the field now with a 10-second penalty. He'd drop down as far as 16th place as it stands from his current running place of 10th position. We're about to start lap 28 of the race here in the NASCAR Euro Series. It is going to be a really compelling run to the flag. I get the feeling that Gianmarco Ercoli, for now, he's obviously pushing. He's had a few goes at Liam Hazeman's, but he's not going to pull out all the stops. He's not going to really roll the sleeves up and fight for it until those last few laps. And we are getting to that stage as Thomas Chrysonis has gotten past Jack Davidson, but Davidson has the inside line for Druids, fires back against the Greek racer, and Davidson holds on for Lux Motorsport, for the family team, up against the PK Carsport car. And what's happened at the front? Liam Hazemans has dropped down. Hazemans at Graham Hill Bend has gone from first to fourth. What happened for the number 30? Whoa, Liam Hazemans is out of the podium contention, and Gianmarco Ercoli is your race leader. A race leader with some front end damage he didn't have a few corners before.
I don't know exactly what happened there, but Liam Hazeman was really slow there on the backstretch, and then Gianmarco Ercoli went past him, and also Ghirelli made up 2 positions. He's now in second place ahead of Paul Geoffroy, and the 30 car is slowing down more and more. There are issues for Liam Hazemans.
Yeah, we saw the car slowing in the back of shot. Yeah, we saw the car slowing down at the back of shot on the run up the hill to Druids Bend, and he pulls up. He pulls up at a very smart place where there is a gap in the fence just behind him, but Liam Hazemans' race is over, and we saw Gianmarco Ercoli carrying damage. What happened? We get a look now. Hazemans going through Graham Hill Bend, and actually the car just gave up underneath him, didn't it? Ercoli managed to get a little bit of damage avoiding the number 30, but Hazemans' car seemed to just let go underneath him naturally, as it were. Gianmarco Ercoli with that front end damage from trying to avoid the rear of the 30, but a disappointing issue there for Liam Hazemans. Ercoli now under pressure from Vittorio Ghirelli, who managed to move past Paul Geoffroy in amongst all of that on the Cooper Straight a couple of laps ago as well. It's effectively a replay of yesterday's dash to the flag now, with Ercoli and Ghirelli 1-2. It looked like Thomas Chrysonis was setting up for a move for what is now 5th place there against Jack Davidson. He had a good run there out of Graham Hill Bend. We'll keep an eye on that, but our top 3 now dicing, and Gianmarco Ercoli, your race leader.
And also one thing about Julian Rehberg, he's now in 10th place. Remember that he missed one race in Vallelunga because of the big crash of his teammate Vanessa Neumann, Happy Nessa, and he's back in this contention for the top 10 places with a new chassis under the 77 body kit. And Rehberg is also doing big steps forwards in Pro after a promising open campaign last season. It was his rookie season in 2024, and he's making steps forward. And with the 10-second penalty for Capelli, he would even finish 9th at the moment, but he has Vladimir Tsotzis and Garrett Lowe behind him. At the front, Gianmarco Ercoli ahead of Vittorio Ghirelli, then Paul Geoffroy, then Sebastian Blakemole, and he already got past Jack Davidson a couple of laps to go, and then Davidson still battling with Thomas Chrysonis. With 7 laps to go, Adam, I will now head down to Victory Lane and wish you a lot of fun in those closing laps.
Okay, good luck, Andre, down there in Victory Lane among the fans, as Thomas Chrysonis, this time seemingly definitively, is past Jack Davidson with a move at Paddock Hill Bend. It was Davidson narrowly ahead of Chrysonis coming onto this lap, but at Paddock Hill, Chrysonis is through into a top 5 position. That's huge for Chrysonis. If anything, I think he's been a bit disappointed this weekend. But that's only because he's had such a strong season so far. In any previous year of his career, running within the top half dozen or so in the Pro Division would have been fabulous. But now, taking that step with PK Carsport, with the help of his driver coach Alan Day, he has taken that leap forward into the elite of the Euro NASCAR Pro and indeed the Euro NASCAR Open Division. He competes in both, and we can see the fruits of his progress and the fruits of his labours there. Now, there are yellow flags at Druids at the moment covering the stricken car of Liam Hasemans, which does take away potentially one overtaking opportunity, at least on the exit of the corner. Did I see Sebastian Blakemolen slowing down in 4th position? I thought there that Blakemolen looked a little bit slow going on to the final few corners of the lap, but that might have been my eyes playing tricks on me. I'm going to wait and see. Last time by, Blakemolen's pace was fairly okay. It was a 50.0. He is still there, thankfully. So Sebastian Blakemolen is still running, but I think he just jinked slightly right there on the Cooper Straight, and it scared me a little bit. I was worried that we had yet another twist in the tail of this race. All the same, Ercole is under huge pressure from Vittorio Gorelli. They've also got the number 25 car of Jordan Wallace just a few seconds up ahead, and by the end of the race they are going to catch up with that lap traffic. Now, Jordan will do everything in his power to stay out of the way, of course, but that is another obstacle up ahead. Meanwhile, further back, Fabrizio Armetta under pressure from David Kajaya there. Kajaya, who runs currently 3rd in Challenger Trophy, on for another podium in that classification behind Claudio Remeggio Capelli, behind Thomas Toffel, and I think he's far enough behind Capelli that he won't inherit a position because of that penalty. In fact, no, he might end up taking 2nd because Capelli is currently less than 10 seconds clear, and Claudio, of course, has a 10-second penalty looming large over his head. It is lap 35 of 38 here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. This is the NASCAR Euro Series Pro Division at American Speedfest 12. One of the highlights of the UK racing calendar. Certainly one of the highlights of our NASCAR Euro Series season every year since the inaugural Speedfest back in 2013. We have 3 laps of racing left to go. Gianmarco Ercole with a slightly wounded front end of the car. Doesn't seem to be affecting the performance at all, but that wasn't courtesy of any real collision or any real shenanigans. It was just avoiding the rear of an ailing Liam Hasemans Retty Jones Racing number 30, unfortunately for him. We got there a look at Sebastian Blakemolen under pressure from Thomas Chrysonis, so that battle is still going on, but Vittorio Gorelli is hounding the rear of Gianmarco Ercole here for a victory, for the opportunity to win here at Brands Hatch. And certainly, if we do have a win for Vittorio Gorelli, it creates an interesting situation for the King of Brands Hatch title, because Vittorio Gorelli was 2nd yesterday, and if they get 1 win apiece and 2 second places apiece, then that rather complicates things for who will be the King of Brands Hatch. We'll get to that when we get to that. We've got 2 laps to go. We are in the closing stanza now of this motor race. Can Vittorio Gorelli make it work on the final lap? There's lap traffic up ahead, which may help out. Jordan Wallace lifts out of the throttle there, lets the top 3 through. Very efficient stuff there from Jordan. Good driving from the American in the team, Blakemolen, number 25. Sebastian Blakemolen was still 4th place last time across the line, incidentally, but Thomas Chrysonis right there with him in the battle for P4. Paul Giffroy in 3rd. Vittorio Gorelli in 2nd. Gianmarco Ercole goes on to the final lap as the race leader. Clock has ticked down to 0. We are on lap 38 of 38 here, and the Illumitech racing car for the 2nd day in a row is our race leader. The chrome nose of Gianmarco Ercole has been second to no one so far this weekend. Of course, Hasemans led much of the race here today, but a mechanical issue for him has put the car to one side, and now Gianmarco Ercole heads around the final corner for the final time. The Brabham Straight awaits. The fans start to roar, and it's Gianmarco Ercole with 2 victories. He is the 2025 King of Brands Hatch, and he is a double race winner here this weekend at American Speedfest. Sebastian Blakemolen just holds on to 4th place there despite the efforts of Chrysonis. 6th goes to Davidson. Toffel and Giorgio Maggi fighting it out for 7th and 8th. A good showing there for Giorgio Maggi, running well within the top 10 for Speedhouse. Reberg and Siortsis round out our overall top 10 ahead of Dubek, Garrett Lowe and Claudio Remeggio Capelli, who may drop further with the penalty. In fact, no. I believe 13th is where he will ultimately finish. David Kajaya will have to settle for 3rd in Challenger Trophy then. Wasn't able to inherit that from Claudio Remeggio Capelli. But Gianmarco Ercoli there, waving to the fans, revving the engine and lapping in the moment. A double winner. This is a huge boon for his championship campaign in 2025. The 2023 champion will be just 6 points back on the leader Vittorio Garelli going into our summer break and the next round of the season in August at Most. There is the 11 car heading towards Victory Lane, which is on Colin Chapman Way among the fans here. And you see him there gesticulating wildly. Number 1. He has 2 1s on the door, and he's taken 2 P1s this weekend. Of course, Vittorio Garelli finishing 2nd. He retains that championship lead, even though it has shrunk. And moreover, he will be the driver that flies the NASCAR Euro Series flag at Trois-Rivières in the NASCAR Canada Series during our summer break. And that is a huge boon for Garelli, and that is a huge layer of intrigue, I must say, for the NASCAR Canada Series at Trois-Rivières as well, to have a driver of Garelli's caliber on the grid. Gianmarco Ercoli is our race winner then, from Paul Giffreau by just 0.7 of a second. By Vittorio Garelli, then Paul Giffreau in 3rd place. Sebastian Blakemolen in 4th, just ahead of Thomas Chrysonis in 5th. Jack Davidson in 6th, Toffel in 7th, Giorgio Maggi 8th place. Reberg and Siortsis rounding out your top 10. The junior trophy winner was Paul Giffreau in 3rd overall. Challenger trophy honours going to Thomas Toffel in 7th place. To go beyond the top 10, it was Dubek in 11th, 12th position for Garrett Lowe. He made up some places in amongst that race. Claudio Remeggio Capelli in 13th, 14th position for David Kajaya, Jordan Wallace in 15th, Ulysse Delso in 16th, Federico Monti in 17th place. Armetta came into the pits late in the race, unfortunately, with a technical issue. Liam Hasemans, of course, pulling off the circuit after leading much of the race. A DNF for him and also for Bruno Mulders. I really feel for Liam Hasemans. He was having a really strong weekend here in the Retty Jones Racing number 30. Slightly battle-scarred and battle-tested, Gianmarco Ercoli's number 11, a Lumitec Racing Ford Mustang, but he is the race winner here. He's in victory lane. Andre Viegold is there greeting him and will soon instruct him to get out of the car for the photo moment here. And here we go. Gianmarco Ercoli. That means so much to him. You can see the emotion in the body language. The team is there to greet him from Lumitec Racing and their technical partners at Cal Racing. Gianmarco Ercoli was on the rear of Liam Hasemans for so much of that race, trying to find any way he could to get past. I thought that maybe Ercoli would start to get those elbows out, start to get more audacious up against Liam Hasemans towards the end of the race, but ultimately it never happened. Liam Hasemans' car just not accelerating coming out of Graham Hill Bend, a slight technical issue that eventually led to retirement, unfortunately, for Liam Hasemans. But Gianmarco Ercoli gladly picking up the spoils and taking the throne as the double race winner. He is our 2025 King of Brands Hatch, and he is a very competitive looking second place in the championship to our leader Vittorio Gorelli going into our summer break. A really entertaining run to the end of the season in prospect here in the NASCAR Euro Series. One more race with regular points on offer, then we'll lose everyone's worst result with the drop score system. One race will be dropped, and then we head to the double points playoffs. Gianmarco Ercoli, Andre, with a fabulous result.
Ladies and gentlemen, the King of Brands Hatch, Gianmarco Ercoli. You didn't want to touch or see the crown on Friday for video productions, but now you can wear it. You can get it. You will be crowned the King of Brands Hatch. How do you feel?
I told you I wait Sunday for touch. I wait Sunday, and today I can touch. No, I'm happy for the race. It's a long race because for the accident in the first laps, but my speed was incredible. It was really incredible, but I battled with but I battle with Liam, who defend really well. I wait and try to push for go the pressure to Liam, but he make a really good job. And I think in the last laps for the fences position, I think he do an error with the gearbox. I don't know.
We have to see.
I'm happy because I think I wait the last laps for try overtake, but in this track is always difficult to overtake.
So now it's time for you to put your second winner sticker on this beautiful Ford Mustang Alumitech Racing, Gianmarco Ercoli.
He came into this weekend with 3 victories here at Brands Hatch. It's always a circuit that served him well in the Euro NASCAR Pro Division, with 2 wins this weekend, 2 stickers added to the roof of that car. Eventually, once he gets it off the paper, it will be a tie now for the most wins in Euro NASCAR Pro at Brands Hatch. Ander Villarino and Alan Day, 2 of the most successful drivers in the history of this series, the 2 most winningest drivers in the history of this series. They both have 5 wins apiece, as now does Gianmarco Ercoli here on the hallowed turf of the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. And Gianmarco Ercoli will move up to tied 4th all time in the winning standings as well, Andre.
Racing, Alumitech Racing. First of all, I want to know Max Lanza, the 88 car in a heavy crash. Is he okay?
Yes, he's okay. Max Lanza is okay. Max Marzorati is okay. These are the 2 sides of motorsport. We are very happy with Jimmy and very sad for the 2 Max.
But being the King of Brands Hatch, Gianmarco Ercoli, amazing race, and also being back in championship contention. What does it mean to you?
Yes, it was very important this weekend. Like I told yesterday, we love this track. So we are back for the championship.
All right, congratulations. Thank you so much. No celebrations with the team. Thank you. Back to you, Adam.
Thank you very much, Andre. So Gianmarco Ercoli came into this weekend with 10 victories all time in the Euro NASCAR Pro Division. He's now moved up to 12, which means he's tied for the 3rd most victories of all time with Frédéric Gabillon. That's quite a rare company to find yourself in. So he's now the 3rd most winningest driver in the history of the series, tied with Gabillon. And of course 5 of those wins have come right here at Brands Hatch. Almost half of the victories that Ercoli has ever scored in the NASCAR Euro Series have come at Brands, 5 of 12 total. This is clearly a happy hunting ground for Gianmarco Ercoli, and what a weekend he has had here. 2 wins. Hello to the fans down there in Victory Lane, cheering on the drivers as we get ready for the podium ceremony. Of course, we're going to hear from more of the drivers down there as everyone gets across the circuit for the podium ceremonies, not just for the overall standings, but also for the Challenger Trophy, for the Junior Trophy, as well as the crowning of the King of Brands Hatch, which will go, of course, to Gianmarco Ercoli. For the fans trackside, of course, the racing action continuing as well there with the Legends Championship. Lots going on at American Speedfest as always. There's action on the track, off the track, everywhere you go. And Andre, down to you.
Thank you so much. Alain Monnier, what an amazing weekend for you, for the team, for Gianmarco Ercoli. I think this will be a big party afterwards, right?
Definitely, it's going to be a party, but all this win is all these guys there from Corrado to Carmelo, all the crew, everybody works so hard to get this car winning, and we're back to the championships, so we're contender now. So we'll look forward in Moss to win another race.
How is it for you to be part of the Euro NASCAR paddock with your own car, with a beautiful livery, the 11 car?
Well, I think the competition in NASCAR Euro has always been high. A couple of years ago, I was running another car, and this year I have the opportunity. Like I said, the alliance that we have with Cal Racing is just amazing. The technical alliance we have with them, and like I say, we're just looking to win that championship. I win in Canada, and I want to win this one.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations. Back to you, Adam.
Great stuff to hear from the personnel down there at Illumitech Racing, which of course is supported by Gianmarco Ercoli's longtime team down there at Cal Racing. Illumitech with that new partnership with the Italians for this year. And great to see it paying dividends in such a way so early in that partnership, just 3 meetings old, of course. But Gianmarco Ercoli happy. Paul Giffreau, I'm sure, will be fairly happy as well, Andre.
Paul, just a quick word to your race.
Yeah, amazing. Just to get this podium after this bad weekend, it's just amazing. It feels like a victory for us. For real, we had a pretty strong pace. Yeah, the incident with Liam, I thought it was a full course yellow, so I lifted off because we lost the radio connections. But yeah, so happy of this P3. So happy.
All right, thank you so much. I have to be quick. Vittorio, very quickly, because for my calculation, you should be the championship leader, and therefore you get an invitation, a ticket to Canada to race in the NASCAR Canada Series.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very, very nice weekend. I mean, from how it was going Friday, car destroyed, and we got a double P2, which is very good. Championship lead, and now we go in our strong tracks, you know, Moth, Torches 11, Zolder, PK Sport. We always fly there. I mean, we fly everywhere, but you know, is our favorite tracks, you know, with setup wise and everything. So really grateful for PK for their hard work. Really grateful for all these fans that showed up, and I hope that we gave a good show, you know.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations again, Vittorio Girelli. Back to you, Adam.
There we go, Vittorio Girelli. As we say, championship leader here in the NASCAR Euro Series, which means he can now book the flights to Canada to go racing in the NASCAR Canada Series and perhaps meet Ryan Vargas on the streets there at Trois Rivières as well, our regular in the NASCAR Euro Series last year. Podium's already underway, efficient stuff here down in Victory Lane. Paul Giffreau to the third step. Here comes Vittorio Girelli for P2. He will be our championship leader, but the leader of them all, the new king of Brands Hatch, Gianmarco Ercoli, to the top step of the podium. Let's hear the anthem for Cal Racing and Ercoli. we go. The Italian anthem belted out by Gianmarco Ercoli and his Italian-based team representing Illumitech Racing, the Canadian outfit. Incredible stuff for Gianmarco Ercoli. Third place trophy has already been received there by Paul Giuffreau. Vittorio Garelli with second place, but more importantly with that championship lead. Your top three in the championship represented here on the podium. Paul Giuffreau will have moved into third in the championship at the expense of Thomas Chrysonis during that race. And that is an exciting thing to see. Our top three in the standings, our top three in the race, and the photographs now being taken, the celebrations will begin. And while they're all in a celebratory mood now, I do think that as we get to the Euro NASCAR races at Most, the NASCAR GP Czech Republic, I think things are going to get a bit more interesting and a bit more feisty as we approach the playoffs, as we get towards that critical phase of the season. But for now, they can celebrate, they can spray the champagne, try not to swallow any confetti, and celebrate their results here at Brands Hatch. As you can see, lots of fans choosing to see the victory lane presentations here as the podium takes place. Next up, it will be the fastest driver of the event award given by TJ, the titanium ring offered to TJ and presented by Marco Raggi from the TJ company. And of course, not just the ring, but the crown for the king. Gianmarco Ercoli is the king of Brands Hatch in 2025.
Marco Raggi comes up. Thank you, sir. Careful of the champagne on the steps. The TJ titanium ring for the king of Brands.
There we see the ring. Thanks to Marco Raggi and TJ for the support, and Gianmarco Ercoli, fastest driver of the event, king of Brands Hatch, and well up for the battle going into the last 3 rounds of the season. Next up, it is Vittorio Garelli to the podium again, because we have a presentation here for the leader of the championship coming out of Brands Hatch, as we've alluded to, 9th and 10th of August. He now has the opportunity to showcase himself and the NASCAR Euro Series on the streets of Trois-Rivières at the GP3R, the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. And he is the mid-season championship leader. He is the man who will be flying the flag for us before Lessard comes over and races with us, of course, at Oschersleben in the series as well. That is really exciting, that exchange program for the NASCAR Canada Series.
We're going to go with the Junior Trophy.
Next up, it is the Junior Trophy podium, and it will be Jack Davidson in front of his home UK audience onto the 3rd step of the podium.
Jack, 2 podiums over the course of the weekend, not a bad return. In second place, it's Thomas Chrysonis.
Thomas Chrysonis up to the 2nd step, of course, and it will be Paul Giuffreau, the winner
But the winner of the Junior Trophy
in
today,
the Junior Trophy. So Paul back to the podium.
He's had a nightmare with his engines. He not only got it through to the end, but he's got himself
And
up on
celebrating with a win in Junior Trophy to end a weekend of mixed fortunes.
Jack Davidson.
Of course, we saw the car railing yesterday. They had engine issues on Friday as well that prevented a lot of practice, but Paul Giuffreau still a factor in the championship battle as well, of course, 3rd in the points, and very much still a force to be reckoned with going into the rest of the season. Not just for the Junior Trophy, which of course he will be now leading over Thomas Chrysonis, but for that overall battle as well.
So well done to the top 3 of the junior trophy. Now we've got to make sure to see whether we've got all three for the Challenger trophy here.
Our final podium then of the weekend will be the Challenger Trophy. David Kajaya, Claudio Capelli and Thomas Toffel expected, but we are missing the number 34 of Toffel, which is unfortunate because, well, he's our winner. We'll see whether they just go without him since he hasn't joined us to receive his trophy, but we'll wait and see.
Right, okay, we are hoping that we're going to get the dancers out again, the cheerleaders out, but it's a small amount of space for them, so we're not sure whether that will have to happen afterwards. We'll wait and see, but we are able, I think, hopefully for the Challenger Trophy, we were missing one of the drivers, but we'll give it a crack. In third place in the Challenger Trophy.
So then Challenger Trophy presentation will kick off there. We can hear Chris Dawes, the local MC there, welcoming the third place man in that classification, David Kajaya, to the podium. Claudio Remigio Capelli to the second step of the podium.
And the winner of the Challenger Trophy, number 34, Thomas Toffel.
Thomas Toffel is missing, yes. Unfortunately, no top step then for Toffel on this occasion. We can Photoshop him in later.
The second place trophy goes to Claudio Capelli.
Capelli receives his second place trophy, and you know what? Something tells me that Claudio and David wouldn't mind splitting a second bottle of champagne if Thomas isn't going to come and get his own.
For those photos, and we'll congratulate Thomas Toffel for that victory in that one.
Congratulations then to our Challenger Trophy drivers. That's our last podium presentation. I think we are now going to, as Claudio Remigio Capelli continues to celebrate, now focus in ahead of the next race. That, of course, is the Open Division race. That will be on in just over an hour's time. And that will be very, very exciting stuff indeed in Euro NASCAR Open. After yesterday's dramas in that classification, what will happen there, I wonder? You should join us to make sure to find out when we return with more NASCAR Euro Series action.
Just like a ring.
Zone, and away they go. What a fabulous start it was from Matty Smith. Matthew Smith immediately jumps up the order and finds himself in what is second place, third place. He's managed to make it stick in third place. They all work their way through turn one, and Steve Wells fires his way up the hill into the lead of the race. Jake Swan still trying to get that NASCAR up to temperature, but Steve Wells has spun from the lead of the race and finds himself pointing backwards at Druids, well and truly out of the way, and well avoided by everybody else thereafter. So for now, Jake Swan holds on to the lead.
Jake Swan doing well to, and everyone else for that matter, doing well to avoid the spun car of Steve Wells there up at Druids. Swan getting away into the lead, building a nice little gap actually. We didn't see much of this yesterday. The inclement weather might have played a factor into that. It was a great start as well from the Harlequin TVR Chimera, but now here comes the mighty Michael Saunders around the outside in his TVR Tuscan Challenge. He's going to be thundering down the straight, and in fact he's already gone past the 01 NASCAR and he's attacking the 87 of Peter Samuels.
Yeah, Peter Samuels will see him coming 3 wide in the run in towards turn one. They all managed to work their way through. What a brilliant run out of turn one for our yesterday's race winner, that being Michael Saunders. He's managed to climb his way up from 9th place up into what is 3rd place now. Over the line, Guy Carter was in 2nd place and has closed in on Jake Swan, but now he's got Michael Saunders closing in. There's a good battle going on further back. That's between Peter Samuels and Chris Richardson. Unfortunately, we have lost into the pit lane Chris Ridge. He's disappeared into what is the assembly area. That car was found in the gravel yesterday, so a weekend to forget.